or they're recruiting these girls when they're young and they're impressionable, and they're like, hey, here's this guy and Ghislaine Mack, like here's. So if you want good-looking people, you're probably not going to go to a comedy club, right? You're going to go to a modeling shoot.
Yeah.
Not that there are good-looking comics, but I mean, like, young, impressionable, good-looking people are found in modeling. So I think that's why a lot of them.
It is a bizarre job.
It's a really
You stand
strange
there and
job.
Pose and you,
Yeah.
like, what's the woman's name that was married to Tom Brady?
Giselle Bündchen.
She's worth more than him.
Well, yeah.
How? Just by being hot.
Just by being hot.
Isn't that amazing?
It's huge.
Greatest quarterback of all time in
Yeah.
the biggest game
Yeah.
in all of North America.
Right.
And a woman, just by virtue of being pretty,
Right. Wins.
she wins.
She wins. Well,
And she's like, I'm done with this guy. He keeps wanting to play football.
yeah, but now you're looking at, it's changing. It's changing. We're pretty now. Like, if you're a model now, I mean, the look is changing, right? I mean, it's a lot of bigger people, and it's a lot of not as pretty people, or not traditionally pretty, so
Yeah.
it's not
but
all changing, but there's some.
You can't deny nature.
You can't.
And the
100%.
Nature is, it's
Yeah.
all about
Well, there was no fat activism on Epstein's Island. You know what I mean? Like, he was not.
Maybe there was.
I mean, I don't think that he was like concerned with diversity. Like the people that are purveyors of just people's looks are just,
But maybe he had a request list.
he might have. Who knows? He
What are
might
you
have.
into?
Right.
You know?
It's like you fill out a questionnaire.
Yeah.
Like you fill out a questionnaire, like bespoke post.
The question is, like,
they sponsor me
there's
anymore.
been people like that that have been sex trafficking forever.
Yes.
But it's shocking to people that it's going on now. They're like, what?
Still, but there is sex trafficking for sure, but there's also, like, I was in Romania. I did a Bitcoin guy brought me over there to do his birthday party.
Didn't you hang out with Andrew Tate
I
over there?
did. I did 20 minutes of comedy, and it bombed because people weren't really speaking English, and the ones that could didn't love me. So some of them liked me, and one guy pointed at me and just yelled Joe Rogan because he had seen me on this. Some Russian crazy guy just got up in the middle of the set and went, Rogan, Joe Rogan, and then sat down, and then they brought him out. It was insane. But they paid me a lot of money to do it, and then there was, there's only one person there to really interview, and it was Andrew Tate, so I went to his house, and he's a lovely guy. Here's the thing about him and his brother, they are lovely people, whether they're human traffickers or not. They're lovely people. I'm not for human trafficking, but they took us out for a steak dinner, and there was women there, and a lot of the women were quiet, and I thought they were just quiet. That would be my story. If I'm called to testify, I would go, the women were quiet, and they were obedient, and many of them looked at the floor. But
Really?
yeah, but it's Eastern Europe, Joe.
Right.
That's kind of the way they act. And coming from America, it was a little bit of a nice change of pace.
Were you stunned?
No, I mean, coming from, it was nice.
Were you stunned when you got arrested?
It wasn't stunning. It wasn't like, when eventually I smoke another cigarette, would I be stunned that I have a cigarette in my hand? No. I wasn't stunned that he got arrested. It was surprising to me because, listen, people say things about somebody and you hope that they're not true, right? Because he has some wacky opinions, but he has some opinions that I would say are probably, pretty reasonable
And interesting.
That people should, stop being victims and go out and work and figure stuff out, and that, this world does leave you out in many cases, and you have to figure a way around things, right? He calls it the Matrix or whatever, but you have to be pretty resilient. I think some of those messages are good. I think some of his stuff is funny and over the top, but you clearly don't want this to be true. You never want this to be true, and I hope it's not true. They think it's true. I mean, the authorities.
Is Romania corrupt?
Yes, it's corrupt. It's a Soviet, Eastern Bloc country where I think a lot of people get paid off. I think Tate even talked about that it was kind of a corrupt country and that people just kind of paid each other off. And I think it's just the way a lot of those Eastern European countries work, where, America's corruption is and Tate, kind of makes this point, right? American corruption is like big deal corruption. Billionaires.
Right.
You gotta have a lot of money to play the game. You gotta have the, serious capital. In places like that, you know, you don't have to be a billionaire to influence things. You can have a small business and have enough money to be like you're in the game. You pay people off to get the business open, and then you pay people off to keep the business safe. And I think it's kind of maybe the way America worked in the 70s before corporations owned everything. What it seems like. But again, I only spent...
Why did he move to Romania? Isn't he from the UK?
Yes. Well, that's certainly not a great part of his defense, is that he's living in Romania. He could live there. His attitude was, I live here because I like the freedom to do what I want. But some of the detractors would say that it's easier to get away with stuff there. He's even kind of said that. You can kind of do what you want. You can kind of do what you want. Now, maybe that means driving your car fast. Also, it might mean, you know, human trafficking. I don't know. So it runs the gamut. But you can get away. It's a weird place to live. If you could choose to live anywhere, it's an interesting place to live. The people were lovely. You know.
Have you ever thought of where you'd live outside of the United States?
I mean, I probably have to go back with my people in Ireland. I think we all have to go to our people. I mean, you'd go to Italy. We have to go to our people, no?
Yeah?
I think.
I go to my people and they're just laying around eating.
I know. Maybe I'll go to your people.
They stopped building cathedrals. And
well, my people are drinking. But I mean, I guess I don't know if I'd go to Brazil or something. I think, you know, I've been to Ireland. I performed in Dublin, and it's kind of like, I don't know, you feel... I don't know that I'd ever live outside of the U.S., but you do feel like a little bit of a kinship. Do you feel any of that when you go back to Italy?
Not too much.
Okay.
No, I enjoy it. I enjoy their way of life. I enjoy the way they behave.
I like Ireland. They're all tortured. They're tortured. You got to see the new movie, The Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's the crew from In Bruges. It's amazing. It's like Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Martin McDonagh directed. It's really good. And they shoot it in Galway, Ireland. Ireland's beautiful.
It is beautiful
It's
when
a
it's
beautiful
raining.
place. Yeah, when it's not raining, it's beautiful. But yeah, but the people there, you know, it's a very different lifestyle than America. So I don't know that I could ever do it, but I don't know. Where would you go?
Well, the only reason why I'd go is there's some horrible shit went down in the United States.
And what are the chances of that?
It's just, I mean, if like Manhattan gets hit with a nuke.
Right. That's not a good sign.
No, and that's when you have to really go, oh my God.
Right. If LA gets hit with a nuke, it's like, you know, you go, well, you know, as long as I'm not there, I'd be like, I would be sad. I would text Andy Letterman like, love you, goodbye. Yeah. But yeah, but Manhattan gets hit with the nuke. Because New York's the nerve center of the country, so if that gets hit, isn't that? Not really if you've been there. Well, because it's number one, it was before America. It was a rushed fur trading outpost. It was a marketplace. But in America, the capitalist country. So everything's about commerce. And New York predates America, right? It goes back to the 1600s.
Was it really?
Oh yeah, New York. It was New Amsterdam. You know, before. Oh,
that's right.
Yeah, before America became anything. It's just the best city we have. It's the best we can do as a country. Now, not everyone's going to want to live in a place like New York. It's expensive. We live on top of each other. But it's got the best of everything when you think about, you know, all of the things that a country can do. New York probably does them all. The best for what we can do as America. Food. Yeah, I mean, everything like that. Education. I mean, all the big companies, a lot of them are headquartered there. It's kind of, yeah, it's an amazing city. You have this amazing diverse population of people that all become kind of New Yorkers and all kind of meld together. It's a real city.
You know what was great about it before the crime really upticked?
Crime's not helping.
But the thing was great that you would be around, everybody would just like from all walks of life would walk on the streets together and ride the subway together. It's like there's a real mixture of people, whereas in Los Angeles, people are just in their car.
Los Angeles is an isolating and lonely place where everybody's out for the same thing, which is fame.
And they're not out for it, they're out to capitalize.
If they're not out for it, even the doctor in Los Angeles will brag about his celebrity clients, right? Like, you're going to Los Angeles in many cases to build something, right? You want, and you know, it's not a community in the way that New York is. New York feels more like a community, and you get the best of everything. So you have people in New York that are like going to be the best architects or the best chefs, or, you know, maybe the best baseball players or the best whatever, you know, and you put them all together, and like there's excellence all around. Even the buildings, you look at the buildings in New York, you go, you know, Emery Roth, or, you know, all these great architects, Henry Hardenberg built the Dakota, or Lennon Plaza. You're just around this amazing architecture. Some of it's been around for hundreds of years, and it inspires you, and you feel great.
I was watching this online piece of this lady who pretended to be a billionaire so that she could go to all the different places that were being sold.
Yeah.
And so she could take photos of their views.
Yeah.
But it was a really interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Like, no one should have this kind of money. No one should have this
Interesting.
kind of. Well, how do you stop that? You cap their money?
You can't stop it. And
But it was also like,
I've been doing that too, going to places I can't afford, looking at them, but I don't take the tack that no one should have that kind of money.
you take the tack that one day.
I look at it and go, I'd like this kind of money.
Yeah.
I think that there's a limit where money doesn't make you happy, but it is nice to have. And this idea that, you know, there is a new generation of people coming up where fulfillment is the main thing, which I understand, and that's good. But I also think at the end of the day, like, you know, we shouldn't lie about the fact that, like, being, you know, working and, like, getting the benefits of earning a living that you can be comfortable with is good. And you're not always going to be happy all the time. Not every job you have, you're not going to love, right? So I think a lot of the young kids coming up right now are like, I need to be inspired at every moment of the day, or I need to be really, and it's like there's a lot of shit jobs that you do and you don't realize why you do them until you get to the next thing. And then you go, oh, I learned something in that job that I didn't realize I needed.
Well, money doesn't make you happy, but it does relieve desperation. And desperation makes you sad.
That's true.
That the desperation, the desperation of not knowing if you're going to be able to pay your bills, and that pressure and stress of it. I clearly remember when I got my first development deal, and I got money in the bank, and I just like, it was like a weight, like a physical weight had lifted off my shoulders. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't worry about how I was going to pay the rent. And that was interesting, because it's like, that is
What year was that?
93.
And that was the first time you took a breath.
Yeah. I was like, wow, this is what this feels like.
It's hard, especially with comedy, because when you start, there's not a lot of money for a while.
No, you're barely getting by. You got no health insurance. You know, you're getting a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. You're trying to scratch together a living, pay your rent, pay your bills, pay your gas bill.
Yeah.
And when you get done, you know, with the week and you pay all the stuff, you know, you don't have anything left. That's how you're living. You're living hand to mouth.
Yeah.
And you're always wondering, like, am I going to fill my books so I can get enough road work so I can pay everything? And, you know, you don't know where it's going to go. And then getting a big check. I got a big check from Disney, of all people. And I started going to restaurants, and I was eating nice.
Yeah,
and I was like, this is... My manager actually thought I had a gambling problem.
Yeah. Because he saw what you were spending.
Yeah. No, I'm eating out.
Right.
I'm having lobster.
Yeah. It's interesting when you transition from being anxious about that stuff to at least taking a breath and going.
Yeah. It's a huge advantage.
Yeah, it's a big advantage. You can focus more on being creative.
But the hunger
is good too.
Yeah, the hunger of not knowing where you're going and what's going to happen, that fuels people. But it doesn't fuel everybody. Some people don't have the constitution for it, and it fucks them up.
Yeah. So many of the articles you read now are about how they seem to be preparing people to live with less. Going, you don't need to own anything. You'll be happy renting.
That's all World Economic Forum.
No, I know. It's shitty.
That's
to
such
read.
Nonsense. But it's also because people don't have anything.
That's right.
And when they don't have anything, they see people who have things, they think there's something wrong with those people. There's no way they did it the right way. Those people are all criminals.
Yeah.
Like, there's this attitude that people have when they're poor, when they look at the wealthy, like those people are evil. There's no way they're not evil, which is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Because if you got a job that paid more money and you kept working up and you got more and more money and you're the same fucking person, now all of a sudden you're wealthy. Are you evil now?
Right.
Did you do this by subjugating people?
Yeah.
Did you do this by stealing? No.
Well, there's such a vast chasm of, like, intelligence too, right? You have brilliant people, and then you have people that are, you know, they're just kind of struggling. And I think that, like, sometimes even understanding the world that we live in, and even understanding how to make money, or is difficult for a lot of people, right? There is also a lot of fuckery and a lot of corruption, and like sometimes bad people get a lot of money, but that's just the way it is. There's bad people without a lot of money, you know? But just understanding how to make money is difficult, I think, for a lot of people, because you don't learn anything about money in school. You know, you go through 18 years of school, you don't hear the word credit card, interest rate. I mean, it's kind of amazing, you know? You get some basic economics courses in high school, but like the consumer economy, like the things you would need to learn, you just don't learn a ton about that.
All right, how much did they discuss with you about how student loans you have to pay back no matter what?
Yeah, not really.
Even if you go bankrupt.
Yeah, they're not really like, you know, maybe they're doing it more now, but like they leave out this stunning amount of information that you would need. And I think a lot of people, you know, are you know, very smart people that can tell you all about history or whatever. You know, and I've been one of, like a person who, like, I remember one of the first credit cards I got, it had like a $200 activation fee, and the limit was like $250. This was years ago. I tried to use it at a restaurant. They're like this, and I'm like, this is impossible. It had to go through. I just got it, and literally I looked. It was a $200 activation fee, and I only had 50 whatever dollars available credit. Like, you get in that system and you fuck yourself, it's hard to get out of it.
I know a lot of people did that when they were struggling. It's hard. It's rate going up, and
then you get
you're only paying the minimum amount every month. So it's just like the actual chunk of money that you owe doesn't really shrink.
What's good about America is there's no debtor's prison, so you can declare bankruptcy. That is less
you have student loans.
That's the one thing that, okay, but I tell people all the time, just declare bankruptcy and just let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, but you can't student loan.
You can't let the student loan go. But I say don't even go to the school. Like, what are you even doing in college? I mean, when you think about it, what is every story coming out of an American university is like some insane, it's like they're holding the teacher at gunpoint now because she said, you know, something nice about Columbus. Like, I don't even understand what anyone's learning, unless you're like a finance guy. I'm going to Princeton, or you're a tech person, you're going to Stanford. But these low-level, mid-tier schools, do we need them? I mean, they exist for like football, and it's fun. You go have fun. You go get fucked up for 4 years, you enjoy yourself, but like, do you really, I don't know what you get out of it anymore.
Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you just wanted education, you just want to have more information, you're not thinking about using it as a career.
Yeah.
Which nobody does.
Right.
But if you did that, you can learn some things in college. And if you wanted to be a doctor, well, that's the way to do it. If you wanted to be a lawyer, that's the way to do it.
But we don't need more of them. Like, we don't need more doctors. We don't need more lawyers. And in terms of doctors, we probably don't need more doctors. We have enough doctors. In terms of life, you know. And, you know, we have a lot of doctors. We have every kind of doctor. We have plastic surgeons. We have all kinds of doctors. It's like, you know, especially because...
Yeah, but they die off.
Yes. I mean, then
you gotta keep refreshing the population.
But if you're not going to be a doctor, you're not going to be like a...
STEM.
We got a few people doing
engineering,
most
mathematics.
people are just in marketing. People go, I'm in business marketing. You ever talk to a kid? They're like, I'm in business marketing. They have no idea what's going on.
Well, they don't know what to do. They're filled with hormones. They're partying outside their house for the first time, living in dorms, getting laid.
It's a good experience.
Yeah.
It's a fun experience. I never had it. I went to community college, and I dropped out to start selling subprime mortgages. So I regret not going to college, but I like my journey was meaningful too. But yeah, I regret not going, kind of.
What do you regret about it?
The experience that you would have had in a college where you're living on your own with everyone your age. But I think you know, my life would be very different had I done that. I don't know, but it might have been different. Probably. So I think the life I had was good because I love comedy. I like what I do, and I think it's good to go through crazy shit and have it be funny. But I think a college experience is interesting if you make the most of it.
You ever think about what life would be like if you didn't get comedy?
Yeah, I do.
Like during the pandemic, how long did you go without doing comedy?
I think I was doing the podcast every week, but I did, you know, when they shut it down in March, and then I think the first time I was on stage might have been, you know, I did a comedy club, Vinny Brand, in in New Jersey opened up a Express Factory outside. And he had an entire outside. He had a tent. And I don't know when I did that, but I did it. And it might have been 3 or 4 months. Maybe it was 5 months. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. It might have been longer than that. But it was weird. Yeah, you thought about it. You're like, what would I do?
Well, what was weird to me was when it seemed like there was a possibility that we could never go back to doing it.
Right.
The first few months.
Yeah.
What if it just stays like this?
What if it stays?
There's no shows ever again.
Right.
And I just have this distant memory of what it's like to understand it.
Because it is the best thing. The internet's fun, but it's like being in a room with real people that are live. You need that human connection.
Yeah, it's a great time.
Because some of the YouTubers that never are around people, like it's a little weird. Like the people whose entire interaction with everyone in life is just on the internet. You can look at them and you go, there's something off. When you talk to them, like they're kind of like, they always hate that they're not online. Like when you talk to some of them in real life, they're kind of like, they want to be in front of a computer screen. That's where they're most comfortable.
Yeah.
And there's something
what they're accustomed to.
It's what they're accustomed to, and it's a little sick. But for me, I love that I grew up without that, and now we have it. But I like that I didn't grow up in front of that screen.
Yeah. Well, I think it definitely does something about your social development. And there was an article recently about how it affects children's brains in a measurable way, like this connection to social media.
Yeah.
It's
for sure.
undeniable. If you're not interacting with people for the most part, and you're most of the time, like if your job is to be a streamer,
right?
And the more you stream, the more money you make, and you're streaming all day, your connection with humans has got to be very strange and different than anybody that's ever existed before.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Because you are interacting with people.
Yes.
But you're not interacting with anybody in person.
Right.
A lot of it is just you putting something out there, and then people reacting to things you put out there. It's almost like sending a messenger pigeon.
It's very interesting. It's definitely a unique vantage point where, because you're also dealing with people online that a lot of them are anonymous. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are kind of, it's different than it would be if they were in front of you, speaking to you face to face. People are, really trolling, or they have their guard down, saying whatever they want to say. Some of them are being completely honest. Some of them are just trying to have fun. Some of, So you get to see maybe the best and worst. I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, you get to see what people are like in the back of their mind without social interaction, without communicating with people. You get to see like those little base thoughts that people have.
Right.
Shitty ideas that people have about other people. And just the shitty ideas they have about themselves.
Right.
It's astounding to me how many people, like on social media, if I just randomly scroll through Twitter, how many people talk about their mental health and how bad their mental health is.
It's because I talk a lot about it on stage now. Having a mother who's mentally ill, genuinely, right? And I don't mean other people, that obviously mental illness is running rampant. But it does also seem like there's a difference between the mental illness my mother has, where she's schizophrenic. Genuinely she didn't diagnose herself on Instagram. She's in an institution. She cannot live in a, and I think that's different than for example, depression. And depression is a very bad thing, but there's clinical depression. There's also situational depression, where some of the things that you're doing or eating or whatever, and there's
how do you discern
hard.
What's the cause, though?
It's very difficult.
Because when someone is diagnosed with clinical depression, but then you look at their actual lifestyle, and you look at what they're doing and what's fulfilling about their life, you're like, well, of course you're depressed.
Some
if you clean that up, how much of it would affect? Like, I don't want to be dismissive of people with real depression, because I know people that have it. And I know people that have taken antidepressants and changed their life, and then they weaned off of them, and then they're infinitely better off than they were before they took them. Because they were on the verge of suicide.
Some people have a chemical imbalance, and some people that can be corrected with medicine. Some people really, the depression comes from a situation in their life they can clear up. Some people have anxiety because again, they have this disorder, but then there's a lot of people that have anxiety because, maybe they're in a job they hate. Maybe they're in a bad relationship.
And then there's some people that just genetically, their brain is fucked.
That's right.
That's real.
That's true.
Yeah, there's people, and that's schizophrenia, right?
When you use the bathroom, you always close the door behind you, right? You don't want random passers-by looking in on you, so why would you let people look in on you when you're going online? Makes sense. It does make sense. Using the internet with ExpressVPN is like going to the bathroom and not closing the door. VPNs are huge. It's very important.
Very important.
Because
I have ExpressVPN.
everybody does. Because the thing is, they sell your information. It's called data harvesting and mining. And you want your privacy. And the best part is using ExpressVPN is easy as closing your bathroom door. You just fire up the app, click one button, and you're protected. It's the #1 world VPN rated by Mashable, The Verge, and countless others. VPNs are huge now. If you're online without a VPN, it's like a huge problem. And people die. So if you're like me and you believe your online activity is your business, secure yourself by visiting expressvpn.com.
I want to look at your history.
Yeah, right. It's my name. It's just me. It's Googling my name. Every just over and over and over and over and over. And then Zillow. And Zillow houses out of me. I just imagine, where would I be happy? Would I be happy there? Maybe that'll make me happy. Go to expressvpn.com/Tim Dillon today. Use my exclusive link, expressvpn.com/Tim Dillon. And you can get an extra 3 months free. That's expressvpn.com/Tim Dillon. What about that guy that just killed those, I don't know if he even killed them. I imagine. Died, I hope. Well, it's weird because for 6 weeks they were like, we don't have one lead, and then everyone's
No.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about it because you don't talk about it. When cops are investigating something.
Yeah.
I mean, they vacuumed that place looking for DNA. They got genealogy DNA.
Right.
So they mapped the DNA of people that were related to this guy.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it's not that they didn't have leads.
They didn't share it.
Well, why would they?
Because it's entertaining for me. I would like to know.
That guy scares the shit out of me.
No,
but there's people like that. They said
people
that
like that.
The people that went to school with him said that when he went back to school, that this is obviously if he did it, that he was noticeably happier and noticeably had more energy and more lively and interacting with people.
Well,
which is fucking creepy.
That's a really sick person.
Yeah. Well, this is a guy that was studying criminal behavior and he was.
That's crazy. He came back after and he was happy.
That's what they said. But also, this is
hearsay.
But this is also people that know him and maybe they think he's a creep and who knows.
But the idea that you could have that in your brain, where one day you could stalk these people or whatever, figure out how to murder people and just go in, kill these innocent people, and leave. And go to school the next day. Like, that is somebody's brain that's fucked. There's no other way to say it.
There's no other way to say it.
No other way to say it.
And they think there's just a certain percentage of those people. Like, there's a certain percentage of sociopaths.
And I guess the challenge is identifying
psychopaths, sociopaths.
That's where the tech stuff comes in, and you start to get nervous about it because, like, they'll be like, well, we want to start identifying those types of people early. Like, yeah, but that's almost, you run the risk there of, drawing lines around a lot of people who are never going to do that, who are either goofy or funny or silly or saying dumb shit online, and then,
either like death metal.
Yeah, they like death metal, whatever. They listen to my podcast, whatever. Yeah, they don't want to hurt people. But at the end of the day, it's like, that's where a lot of that tech stuff comes from. They're like, well, we got to identify these antisocial people.
That's minority.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. That's
pre-crime.
Pre-crime.
Yeah, that's scary shit.
It's scary.
It's scary also because, like, there's people that at times in their life, like, there was a guy who was on this podcast, John Bernthal, the actor?
Yes.
Great guy.
Yeah.
What an interesting dude.
Interesting.
Like, way different than, when people think of actors, they think of people that are insincere. This guy's the opposite of that. He's super sincere.
Yeah.
Really intelligent, really articulate. Very deep and interesting guy, and a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Really like him. He was talking about this guy that he knew, that he interviewed, that he was going to blow up a mosque. And he went into this mosque. He had this hate of Muslims after coming back from overseas from serving. And he was going to blow up a mosque. And he went in there and he met this woman who welcomed him into the mosque. And he's still totally intent on blowing everybody up. She invited him over to her home for dinner. He was still intent. So he gets to know her and his family, completely changes course, becomes a devout Muslim.
Wow.
And then talked about what his plans were and that he didn't do it. And now he's just like very happy.
Well, that's like there was a prison guard in Guantanamo Bay that converted to Islam. He was a prison guard. And that's how you know losing the war, American. By the way, that's not a great sign. But he converted to Islam because, you know, he struck up a friendship with a guy in the thing. I think people are looking for something, and
that gives them purpose.
The intensity of belief is always interesting to me. And the people, and I like, you know, Camille Paglia wrote an interesting article about Obama. She goes, he's such a brilliant guy, but one thing he doesn't seem to understand is like religion. He doesn't understand like passion and intensity of like belief systems because he is so intelligent that he doesn't seem to grasp that which motivates people. Like, you know,
how does she know that?
Well, she just made comments on like the way he would talk about religion. I think this was like after he made that comment, like people cling to their guns and their Bibles or whatever. And she was like, I don't think he fully, you know, understands, you know, being a Harvard educated guy. Like he doesn't fully understand, you know, that religion provides a great comfort to many people and an organizing principle for life, right? I do think that it can spill over into this, you know, fervor that's unhealthy, right? You see that fundamentalist religion everywhere. You know, it's like whether it's Christian or Muslim, but, you know, there is a certain, you know, critical thinking and not cold, you know, behavior. But yeah, that's interesting, a story like that where a guy goes in to kill people and goes, well, I want to be one of them. That's someone who's looking for something.
Yeah, well, obviously, just the fact that he wanted to go in there and blow the mosque up, he's obviously in a bad place.
He's not in a good place.
And sometimes when people get involved in a really rigid ideology, a religion with a bunch of other people that are committed, they feel a sense of community and purpose, and it gives them discipline and focus, and the Islamic faith is particularly rigid in that regard.
Yes.
And particularly devout.
Well, a lot of those faiths are, if you follow the letter of the law. Like in the Western world, a lot of our faiths have been tempered by the types of governments we have, right? So where we have a separation of religion and government. But in other parts of the world, they don't. And I think one of the problems now, and you're seeing this kind of resurgence of religion, which I think could be good. It depends, right, on the form it takes. But a lot of the Western world is people feel an emptiness now that religion isn't big in America. We haven't replaced it. Like people are still at the end of the day trying to figure out why are we here? What are we doing here? Does anything happen when we die? How should we behave towards each other? And we haven't given them anything. They had this, my grandparents were devout Catholic. My grandmother was devout Catholic. My grandfather was a devout Catholic. She was still a Democrat and voted, she was still like, not someone who, but she went to church all the time in her life and the way she believed. They were both, I was around both of them when they died. You couldn't find a more peaceful person as they were dying.
Because they believe.
They believe. Yeah. Like my grandfather, when he was diagnosed with cancer and they said, you don't have much left, he said, my kingdom is not of this earth. He's like, that's fine with me. He was really at peace. My grandmother too. My grandmother said, I've lived a good life. And,
well, that's what people want.
That's what people want.
They want
that
to be at peace. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very hard to achieve peace in this world.
It's very hard.
Especially difficult.
Yeah.
It's very hard. It's very hard to just the battles you have in your own mind, the failure, everything that you're doing in life, the people that you interact with, the chaos and struggles and strife and why? What is it all for? If you don't have a what is it all for, it can get really fucking weird.
Yeah, and that I think that not knowing that chaos, people can't deal with it. And it's easier maybe for people that can block all that out and just go. But I think a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people
like get hurt.
Right.
It's just blocks it out.
Boom, boom, boom.
Go.
You just go.
Keep going.
Yeah.
The purpose isn't go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult, I think, for a lot of people to just make peace with the idea that the unknown. We really don't know. You could follow a system, you can try to be, and that's where I guess some of that DMT shit that helps. People seem to come back from some psychedelic experiences and feel better about it.
Yeah, I definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely changed the way I look at it.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that that's real. That you can actually have that experience. Like, how does everybody not know about this? How is this not promoted?
Yeah.
And it, obviously not for everybody, especially not for people who already have a slippery grasp on reality itself.
That's a problem.
It's a big problem with psychedelics, and not just psychedelics, but like milder psychedelics, like marijuana and people with schizophrenia.
Yeah.
That's what Alex Berenson wrote about in his book, Tell Your Children.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting book because a lot of people that are pro-marijuana, including myself, instinctively want to reject this notion that it triggers schizophrenia.
But it does.
I think it might. I think with some people. I mean, it doesn't with me, but I think some people that have a tendency or an inclination towards that, and they have like a really heroic dose of edibles or something like that, I've seen people crack. I know multiple people in my life that have gotten really fucked up from weed and got crazy paranoid.
And it's hard to know until you've done it, right? It's basically, it's too late.
Yeah.
Like, people, they smoke pot, they want to smoke pot, and then eventually, like, maybe some underlying, tendencies, schizophrenia, like that stuff just comes out. They don't know.
And a lot of people smoke all day, every day. And so that's the reality. The way they interface with the world is through cannabis. Like
it's too much.
It's probably, but some people are fine with it.
And then everybody's on pills, right? I mean, there's the amount of people that are on SSRIs or depression meds or anxiety meds. I mean, it's a massive amount of people. So much money. Just get vaccinated. Stop with the pills. Just get a COVID vaccine every 4 months. You'll feel better about whatever's wrong.
Will you?
Yeah. I mean, my aunt's on her 9th booster, and she feels great. She calls it, get boosted. I just got boosted. Yeah. She's great. Her eyes are blood red. She's,
I wonder if people get addicted to doing it.
Oh, there's, by the way,
like they want to do it more often.
We're going to read,
nervous.
We need an article about the person who's gotten vaccinated 100 times for COVID.
What's the person alive that got vaccinated now for COVID?
Definitely somebody who's gotten vaccinated way more than they should.
What's the number, you think?
Ooh, I don't know.
Like, like people that are hooked on oxys, they go to a different doctor.
Yes.
Especially before I used to have a friend who he fucked himself up. I forget what his injury was. But he got on oxys in Texas, and then he moved to California and got on oxys with a different doctor.
Right.
And was getting both doctors to prescribe him, and then he went off the rails.
Doctor shopping.
Yeah.
They call it.
Well, it's the fact that I guess the doctor in Texas didn't know that the doctor in LA was giving it to him, so he's getting double dose, and then he was getting it on the street, and then next thing you know, like, he's fucking gone. Yeah. He's pretty normal before that happened.
Yeah, there's got to be people that are abusing vaccines.
Like, I would like to know, like, what's the Google this.
What? No, he's looking. It's hard to find.
Person who's been vaccinated. I mean, this guy.
By the way, there's no way Pfizer likes that article.
No.
Right?
It's got probably like online support groups.
Guinness is not putting this person in.
Yeah.
No.
They're keeping this quiet.
But there's probably like some online things where people are like discussing, like, there's people that they feel like they should chop a hand off.
Yes.
And they feel like they're not supposed to have a left hand.
Well, there's also weird stuff where people pretend to be disabled.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy.
Yes, they want to be.
They want to be disabled. There's something about it.
It's like trans disabled.
Yeah, I mean, but the brain is such an amazing thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Oliver Sacks was this amazing, I forget what he was, he wrote a book called The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. And it was this crazy book about rare brain conditions where, like, people just, for whatever reason, their brains function in a way that was so puzzling, even to doctors. Even doctors were like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that stuff keeps you up at night, so you don't want to, because you start to hypochondria, you go, wait a minute, I had a headache yesterday,
It makes sense. I mean, the brain is like a very complicated biological computer in some ways. Like, you ever drop the phone and you just start doing wacky shit?
Yeah.
I had a phone once. I dropped it in Hawaii and just started calling people.
Yeah.
I'd hang up and it would just randomly call someone else. Hang up, randomly call someone else. Like, look at this shit.
And that's what your brain will do.
Some people's brains.
Yeah.
It's just the wires are wrong. Everything's fucked. Something got knocked loose. And then,
And that's crazy.
That's you forever.
Yeah.
That's what I say
scary.
about knockouts. Like some people that have been knocked out, like they don't come back the same person.
Yeah.
They're in a new world now.
Yeah.
They're a new human with a new way of interfacing because their brain is fucked.
Yeah. Are you, now with all the bad press with the NFTs, are you happy you never took my advice?
Yes. Not only did I not take your advice, I refused advertisement.
Yeah, that was smart.
Yeah, there was a few of those crypto.
Yeah.
Fucking, and I'm like, that's not real.
Yeah.
I'm not getting involved in telling people to put their money into something that I don't fucking believe in.
It's tough. It was a gamble, you know, and you know, a lot of people lost, and that's, you know, now a lot of people are getting held to the account, right? There's a lot of people, Logan Paul, a lot of these guys, people are upset at people.
Tom Brady, a lot of those people are getting sued in a class action lawsuit.
A lot of people are angry.
Yeah, Paul. You know, like, how about those Matt Damon commercials where he's comparing it to, like, Magellan and fucking people that landed on the moon?
Yeah.
Be brave. Yeah. Be brave with your fucking entire life savings.
Kim Kardashian got involved, you know?
Well, those people were throwing money around.
Yeah.
They were throwing a lot of fucking money around.
Yeah, not to me. So, but we had, we would do crypto ads on the show, not for specific things. Yeah, we did crypto ads for, like, you know, if you want to invest in crypto, here's a good service to invest with. But it wasn't like, I wasn't like pumping my own Dylan coin.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I was doing that, but like, yeah, I mean, like, I would still do ads for FTX. Like, if they, I would still do them if they, you know what I mean? If there was a plan, like if Sam Beckman-Fried said to me, we're going to make everyone whole, which is what he keeps saying.
How is that even possible?
Well, it's hard.
Aren't there millions of creditors?
So much.
Millions. So there's millions of people he owes money to. So even if he owes them $1.
Yeah. He goes, I just want to make them whole. Like, they keep interviewing him, and he keeps going, my goal here is to make the customers whole. And so if he called me and goes, we're going to make everyone whole, and, you know, we're going to pay your rate, and we're going to get in there and do some ads, it's like, I'm not going to hold one mistake against him.
Do you think he thinks that he can just do it again?
Yes.
Because he did it already.
I believe that a guy like that believes, I was in a room with Bill Clinton. I was in a room with Joe Biden. I was in a room with the most powerful people in the world. I was the second biggest donor to Joe Biden's presidential campaign. I can get out of this and maybe serve my sentence, or he pled not guilty, so he might be thinking like, there's a comeback story. It's what's getting him up every day. There's no way that a redemption arc is not motivating his behavior.
Do you think they let him be on amphetamines now?
Oh, I don't know.
Because wasn't that part of the problem? They were all jacked up on pills.
Well, part of the problem was they were just, well, maybe that's true, and I think that's part of the problem. But part of the problem is, this is also all bullshit, kind of, you know? That's also part of the problem, right?
That's the problem.
Bitcoin, like, a lot of this stuff didn't get implemented, right? It's not being used. It's not like the currency is not being used.
FTX didn't even, trade in Bitcoin.
No, they would do these other fucking bullshit.
Which is really wild.
It's wild. And then they had the Alameda Reef, you know, they were just doing a sex cult in the Bahamas with ugly people, and I'm for that.
I'm for it, too.
I'm for
it. It's a great story if it was real.
Yes.
Like, if they were just making money and banging each other and taking pills,
it's a sex
and it worked
cult
out.
for gross nerds.
It worked out great for a while.
Yes.
And during that time, it was a wonderful story.
It's amazing they couldn't get hot people with the amount of money they had. But they just had gross, smart people fucking each other on an island.
Yeah.
How great. Everyone looked gross. Nobody looked like they showered. People's hair was weird. It was like an old hippie commune.
Yeah. But what was the purpose of the Bahamas? Is this the regulatory thing there?
Yeah, they don't want to be under the watchful eye. They wanted to get out and do
you know, Jamie? Do you know? You're over there?
Yeah.
What is
It's regulators, U.S. regulators.
A bunch of cryptos are down there.
No, they're all down there. By the way, they all moved to Puerto Rico. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's all taxes.
It's 4% tax rate, and they can kind of do whatever they want. And now they're all being found dead.
What?
All these crypto guys, a lot of them are like, one guy ended up, he tweeted like the CIA's going to kill me, and then he ended up in the ocean.
Yeah.
See that. That seemed odd.
A
little sketchy. And then he just ended up in, because a lot of what happens, I think, with these guys, these Bitcoin guys, is the government has to understand this stuff better, right? So the government has to go and figure out, how are you guys doing, whatever you know what I mean? And the government probably sends agents out to befriend these people, right? And then these people either figure something out they shouldn't figure out, or are no longer useful. And then what happens when you're no longer useful is you go.
It's not useful. You're a liability.
Well,
It's
you
not
become
that
a
they're no
liability.
longer useful. It's that they
Well,
could
sure.
possibly tell a story
That's
that
right.
could get people fucked.
Yeah, that could expose the identities of
Yeah.
people. Yeah, for
The
sure.
guy who drowned, what was he saying? You know that story, Jamie, right? But it is one of many. And you
Yeah.
also have to think, look, you're not dealing with the mentally the healthiest people in the world.
That's
They're
true.
involved in this.
CIA.
Mossad, and pedo elite are running some kind of sex trafficking and entrapment blackmail ring out of Puerto Rico and the Caribbean islands. They're going to frame me with a laptop planted by my ex-girlfriend who was a spy. They will torture me to death.
By the way, this guy's a fun guy to do lunch with. You just want to talk. I mean, by the way, if somebody said that to me, I'd go on.
That's the gentleman right there?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. They all have that look. Sam Bankman, you know what I mean?
That is what
and I
you
don't
would
mean
do.
Jewish.
But that is what
yeah.
you would do
Yeah.
if you were an intelligence agency
Yes.
and you wanted to entrap a nerd. You would bring a hot spy.
Of course.
And they have hot spies.
Of course.
I've seen James Bond.
Yeah. Of
That's
course they're
real.
bringing in a hot spy.
That's what they do.
That's how you know FTX was uncompromised. There were no hot spies.
That's true. That's
That
a
was
good point.
uncompromised. The CIA was like, I can't believe it. They actually want to fuck each other.
That's
Like,
you
this isn't
can't
gonna
crack
work.
them. They have 10 people to choose from. They're all in an